Oh my lord. Alright, so what's up, guys? I know you can't see my face right now, and I apologize for that. We'll get there in due time, but this is the Violeta pageantry. So I guess it's a bunch of little girls, like little girls, who do pageantry stuff. I mean, look, they got like juices and and all kinds of little shirts and I feel slightly weird being in here, but they left lights on. I'm not supposed to leave lights on, so I'm coming through here to turn all the lights off that they left on, but I don't know what's... Normally they're over there, but look at this. I mean, don't get me wrong, the woman who asked me to lock up the room asked me if I thought that she did a good job at setting this place up, and it's like, I don't really know anything about this besides the fact of it fucking bothers me a whole lot to think that there's a bunch of little girls that are going to be in here. Oh my god, look at the crowns. Oh no. And tomorrow I'm going to be in a hotel full of a bunch of little princesses. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice setup. They did a good job setting the place up, but yeah, and prizes, I'm assuming makeup, because that's what every little 5-year-old girl wants. Okay, let's see if this fixed the problem. No, see where there's still lights on. Where are their lights? Lights somewhere. I mean, I can just leave them. It's not really a big deal. It's just try to turn off all the lights at night. And it seems very strange. I literally have every single light switch in this room turned off. Obviously not, because there's lights on, but I have no idea what light switch could be on. Oh, Lord. A bunch of boxes in there. Huh. Well, I guess this is better than nothing. It's not completely dark, but it's somewhat lit. I'm going to have to do a security walk later tonight, so in which case I'll be able to walk around the hotel a little bit more and converse a little bit more with you guys. I've been obviously recording a lot of video game live streams recently. I'm sure everybody's noticed. A few of them with Rachel, a few of them just by myself. And yeah, it just pretty much comes down to, if I'm going to be playing the video games anyways, I might as well be live streaming them and posting them online. So that way, there might be a slight chance that I might target a different market of people that might actually enjoy watching me play video games. So I do like to say, if you are here for the content of me talking, and you don't particularly enjoy the video game content, you could do one of two things. You could not pause. You could just darken the video if you have the ability to, and just listen, because obviously it's still me sitting there talking. But if you don't even want to do that, then don't even bother yourself. Like, I'm not bothered by the fact of, a couple videos only gonna get a couple views a piece. Like I said, it's just merely one of those things where, as somebody who likes to create content, it makes more sense to me to think that if I'm just sitting on my ass for 8 hours playing video games anyways, might as well record them and put them on YouTube, in the off chance that someone else out there might actually enjoy it. Now, maybe a little biased, I don't know, but I'd say the video game content that involves me and Rachel is probably going to be a lot more entertaining for you to watch than the video games of me by myself. Not that I would like to not think that I'm not an entertaining person, but obviously it's just me talking, so there's a lot more time for me to go quiet when I get sucked into the video game or stuff like that. Not that it lasts super long, because, me and my mouth, blah, 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 all the time. So it doesn't take me super long before I end up saying something again. But it's just that mere fact that, obviously, with Rachel there, I get in full conversations. We reference things, we joke about things. Last night, I guess, we won twice, which is the first time ever since playing together that we've won twice in one night. So that was a huge squad win. On top of that, if anybody out there plays Fall Guys and you think you're good and you'd like to possibly maybe play with us, let me know. We have two people, obviously, me and Rachel. We both play Fall Guys. But, we play squads, and squads is four. So it's always me and Rachel and two random people. And you can never rely on the two random people because, sometimes they're really good and they carry us, and sometimes they suck and we carry them. So it'd be just nice to have somebody that I can rely on besides Rachel. Like, I'm not saying I don't rely on her because I do, but I'm just meaning like the mere fact of like it'd be nice to have two other people there that give us a lot higher chance of us actually making it to the end versus being stuck with random teammates and just hoping and praying pretty much that it works out the way that we hope it works out. So that's enough of the video game stuff. I'm not here to talk to you about video games. I'm here to talk to you about life. And this really cool and outdated Altoid can. And I'll tell you the interesting story about this Altoid can in a minute. So I'm sure you've asked yourself, so what is so important by this old Altoid can? Well, back in high school, back when I participated in the marijuanas, I actually carried my weed and my bowls inside of this old Altoids can. Took it to school a few times, which of course, was totally legal, of course. And, I've had this thing since at least 2010. That's the date on the back. It says Best Buy 01 April 10th. Oh, so maybe that's 2001. I can't figure out if that's 01 of April 2010 or 01 April 10th. Who knows? Regardless, it's old. Regardless. I've had this Altoid can for a long time. And, the funny story about this Altoid can, the funny story that I'm going to tell you about this Altoid can, is that there was once a time where we were all hanging out at a property that it's hard to explain, but sometimes we were legally allowed to be there and sometimes we weren't. It was like a church, and the church had this big property behind it, and we would, I wouldn't say we, because it was a place that I had hardly ever been to, but it's a place where other people had been there quite a lot of times, and it was the point where the church knew that there was no stopping people from going back there. Like, they would call the cops and stuff every once in a while, but being as it's a church, they're really not trying to create enemies, so they really weren't trying to call the cops and stuff if they didn't have to. So inevitably it came down to, they were pretty much just like, look, we don't care if you go back there, but, no fires, keep the noise level down at night, stuff like that. Because, again, like I said, they don't want to create enemies. On top of that, they knew they weren't going to be able to stop anybody, and they didn't want anybody going on the property to get in trouble. So they made it okay for us to be there, but there were rules that we couldn't break if we were going to be there. Obviously, as you can naturally assume, you get a whole bunch of teenage kids together. Those rules were broken, all the time. We had fires constantly. We made noise all night. So every once in a while, somebody would call the cops, and it wouldn't usually be the church. It'd be somebody that lived close by that would call the cops, and then the cops would come. But since we technically were not supposed to, but we're technically legally allowed to be there, the cops couldn't, get us in trouble. We wouldn't get, trespassing. We wouldn't, get arrested. They would just show up, say, you guys need to leave, and we'd all leave. Obviously, we would take things like marijuana and stuff back in those days and take them there and enjoy smoking as a group and stuff like that. And so I one day, reluctantly, because I was not the type of person that usually carried this thing around, I carried this with me and I took it with us. We went to that church place to do a little bit of mudding and, just have a good time or whatever. Well, in the midst of maybe being there for a few hours, eventually somebody ended up calling the cops, and then the cops showed up. Well, from where we were we were not visible at the time, but it was still to a point where there was like no way of running. The cop would have seen us that way. It was just where we were parked. The cops that came in couldn't see us. So I took that Altoid can that was in my hand, and like a football, I just chucked it as far as I fucking could. It was pitch black out. It's like 2 in the morning, and we're all young teenage kids. And like I said, I just threw this can because obviously it was one of those things where, I mean, I didn't want to waste the stuff inside of it. I didn't want to get rid of my bowl and everything. But when it all comes down to getting in trouble with the law, I would much rather just get rid of everything and not worry about getting in trouble. So like I said, I just took that thing and chucked it like a football and just threw it. It was gone. I had no idea where it went, right? Well, by the time the cops got out of the car and just pretty much were like, hey guys, you guys all need to leave, and got back in their cars and left. And here I was thinking it was going to be some big in-depth search and all this other crap, so I chucked my shit, and I didn't even need to because literally we all just drove right out and that was it. Like they literally just told us to leave. So, naturally I'm a little bummed because I just threw all my shit, and, I was a bit upset about it, but it was like, again, in the time I didn't want to get in trouble. It was much better and smarter and easier for me just to chuck it and get it out of, my possession kind of thing. So I couldn't really be like too upset and too mad that, in the long run that I ended up throwing the stuff. Well, I was there with my best friend and a girl that we both hung out with at that time. I ended up dating that girl a couple years later, but at the time she was just like a friend of both of ours. So she went out riding four-wheelers with some of the guys from that town because the church was not actually in my town. It was a couple towns over. And so she went out riding with a couple guys that lived in that town, and they were out riding their quads. And sometime during the evening-ish time, when it was actually light outside, they went to where that church is, and they went to go, riding back behind it because they, obviously during the day they figured, they won't get in trouble or nothing. So they go back there riding, and as they're back there, the girl, she's on the back of a four-wheeler, so all she's doing is holding on to somebody, and this person's flying through the woods really fast, drifting, going, flying through with his quad. He had a Raptor 660. Flying through there. She's just strapped onto his back with her head leaning against his back. And in the midst of flying through the woods, she notices a bright color sitting on the side of the leaves and why they went by. So she waited till they flew out into the field, and she tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, do you mind going back in there maybe like a couple 100 feet and slowing down and let me get off? There's something I want to check out. And he's kind of like, yeah, okay, that's fine. So she gets out and she walks over, and let alone, what do you think she finds but my Altoid can? Now, everything inside of it pretty much was nasty. It had rained. It had actually been about 3 or 4 weeks since I threw it that she found it. So, besides the bowl, everything inside was pretty much toast. Everything got wet and was nasty smelling because it pretty much got like moldy from sitting wet inside of this little metal container. But it's still the fact of all the places and all the ways that it landed face up. And that was enough that when she went by, she noticed the red. And like I said, since she was in the car with us, she obviously saw me chuck it. So she was like, oh, oh my God, I just found Matt's thing. And so she took it because this is still in a time where we all had cell phones, but it wasn't as popular to constantly text everybody. So she didn't text me. She just waited till she saw me to tell me, hey, I found your Altoid can. And, and so forth, so on and so forth. And now here we are, history. I still have it. That is honestly, not even kidding, this is the why the can looks the way it does. The way it's like all rusty and like weathered like is literally from that 1 month it sat outside. It turned this into like an old antique looking thing, even though it's really not that old. So I'm sure maybe some of you, I'm sure not all of you, but I'm sure some of you have probably sat there and said, okay, and here he is talking about this Altoid can that he obviously used for illegal purposes, and he's currently standing at work, inside of his office. So what is inside said Altoid can that you can hear moving? Well, it was one of those things where the Altoid can means something to me due to the fact that it has a story from my past into it. Even though it was used for not technically good, it can be used for good now. And so now, if I can get it open with one hand. Now the Altoid can holds my memory sticks. So each of my memory sticks in there contains either video games that I've recorded that I want to edit down, TV shows, a few TV shows I have to finish watching, some movies, like pretty much anything digitally that I have that I want to just be able to carry around with me at all any time. I just carry in that Altoid can, because like I said, the Altoid can has a story behind it, so it means something to me. And on top of it, now I can use it for something good, like carrying it around with my laptops and knowing that I forever have memory and storage with me at all times. But hey guys, it is 3 something in the morning. I have to finish doing night audit so that I can eat some food before my next smoke break. And then I only have a few more hours to wait until work ends. It's just like technically this weekend is Memorial Day. Monday is Memorial Day. So, I was thinking, actually completely honest, I lost my complete train of thought. I was something about Memorial Day came up, and obviously I was probably going to talk about Memorial Day in some form. I remember it was, so I didn't come to work today and get my paycheck, which now I'm realizing, dumb move on my end. I still have a few monies left in my account, so I'm not really hurting too bad, but it's still the fact that I realized, because of the way banks work, which I think is retarded as hell, but whatever. If you deposit your money into a bank account on Friday, the money will be available on the next work day. So in theory, it would be Monday. And then if you deposit your money in on Saturday, your money won't be in until the second work day. So that would be Tuesday. So if you put it on Saturday, it goes on Tuesday. Why? Not really sure. Anyways, you can't put money in on Sunday. Now, Monday is Memorial Day, which means nobody's working on Monday because Monday's a holiday. And since that's a holiday and nobody's going to be there, that means that if you deposited your money in the bank account on Friday, it's not going to be in there until Tuesday, because Tuesday's technically the first work day of the week. Which then means that if I were to get which I already did, but when I get my paycheck tonight, and then I go to leave work this morning, and I go home, and I would technically go home, wait until the bank opened, and then leave and go to the bank. But because of the fact of now knowing that since it's Saturday, my money won't be in the bank account until Tuesday, won't be in the bank account until Wednesday, because Tuesday is the first work day, which means Monday is going to be on Tuesday, and that means Tuesday is going to be on Wednesday. So that means literally my nose is so itchy. I got like a fucking beard hair that's going up into my nose, or it's a nose hair coming down. I have no idea. Regardless, I have a tickle right at the very end of my nose. It's horrible. So yeah, so it literally just comes down to the point where I'm now realizingly noticed there's no point in me staying up tomorrow to go to the bank, because I am not going to wait until Wednesday till I have my money deposited. Here's the part that confuses me more than anything, okay? So Tuesday's going to be obviously the first work day. Tuesday I won't have work. So I'll be able to get up at a reasonable time, get up and go to the bank and cash my check or deposit it, whatever, Because I go on Tuesday, and Tuesday is the day that I went, the money will be in the bank account on Tuesday. So it just confuses me all around of why, if I give the money on Friday, does it take until Monday? But Monday gets put in on Monday. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why can't Friday be put in on Friday if Monday can be put in on Monday? And or, Why, if I put my Saturday or my money in on Saturday, does my money then take until Tuesday until it gets put in? Why can't it also be put in Monday? So there's just all these rules, and I've had people try to explain them to me in the past, like because they pretendingly act like it actually makes sense, but it really doesn't make sense. Because, like I said, if I could, and the other thing that bothers me more than anything, and I really need to end this video, so I need to end it after this, but still, cash. When it comes to cash in banks, if you take, so with everything that I've already been talking about, keeping that in mind, if you take a check into a bank on Friday and you give them your paycheck and you say, I want to deposit this, it takes until that next following Monday for the money to be entered into the account. Now, here's a trick. It works for every single bank. Does not matter what bank it is. I use Huntington, so obviously Huntington's the bank that I learned it through, but I promise you it works for every single bank. If you go to that same bank Friday, same day, go through the drive-through, go up to the teller, whatever it is the case that you got to do to get your money. They say, are you here to deposit this? I know a lot of people have direct deposit, and I'm like one of the few people in this world that have a paper check that I still have to cash. But if you don't have direct deposit, go to that bank, tell them that you don't want to deposit the money, you want to cash it. Because cash, still a little floppy on the rules of cash, because some people say you have to have, so like for instance, if I'm taking a $400 check into the bank account, people say that you need to have at least $400 of your own money in your account for them to be able to front you the 400 of your check, just in the off chance something didn't work out that they could take that money. I'm not 100% sure that's true, because I've definitely cashed checks and gotten cash in hand and had more cash given to me in hand than that of the money that was in my account. Like I've had times where I've had $20 in my account but had them give me 400. So it's one of those things where I'm not 100% sure that they use your own money as a backing. I also might have the slight possibility that the only reason they do give it to me is because they would use my job's account as the backing. So like in the sense of, if the money didn't go through, it would go against the job instead of me. Again, I'm not 100% on that. Cash is the part that confuses me a slight little bit still, but regardless, if you get cash on Friday instead of depositing your check, and then you literally just take that cash, you have to complete two different transactions. It's the only way it works. I don't understand why banks won't let you do it in one go, but two different transactions counts as this. If you either go through a drive-through, like I do, you go through the drive-through, and then once you go through the drive-through, you leave and you turn around, you get right back in line for the drive-through, and then you go back through, because that counts as two. I left and now I'm coming back. That's two different transactions. And when it comes to in a building, all you have to physically do is leave the line and get back into it. So, if you're up front and you're talking to this woman, blah, 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 and she's like, do you want cash or deposit this? And you say, I want cash. Then you take the cash. Instead of saying, okay, now can you deposit this cash? You have to take the cash off the counter, turn around, even if there's only one person behind you, turn around and get right back in line. Because doing that, now you have initially pretty much actively was like, hey, look, I'm making this is separate from that first transaction. Then if you go back up and you again say, okay, now I would like to deposit this money, now the bank is legally allowed to take your money and instantly put it into the account. So it's the very confusing concept to me of thinking of why, if I deposit money into my account, it takes up to 3 or 4 days for the money to get there, but then I could just cash it, spend a little extra time getting back into line, and then giving it back to them and having them deposit it, and it goes in right away. Like, it's just that very weird, like, even the bank system knows of this quote unquote cheat, and obviously, like I said, they actually let you do it. They're fine with it. Like, it's just like, they're like, if you're willing to do that little extra step, we're cool with it. It's just a more fact of like, why can't you just do it the right way the first time, and then I wouldn't have to do a little extra step. But like I said, I'm just really rambling and ranting and raving. I've talked about this bank thing now for like 6 months because it just mind blows me to think that how our institution of our lives are set up, you know. But hey guys, this one was a long video and I need to end it so I can finish doing what I'm doing. And on top of that, I need to eat. And on top of that, my phone is probably low on battery. And on top of that, the video is probably in the 20 minutes. And on top of that, I need to upload the video, and that's probably going to take a few hours because if it's in 20-minute range, it's probably going to be between 3 and 4 gigabytes. So yeah. So hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, you could you can consider subscribing. I don't know why, but saying consider and subscribe right after each other makes me just like right through it. I just can't ever get it done, but consider subscribing and keep up with awesome content that I decide that comes out whenever pretty much I want it to. Pause for a cause. Like I was saying, also, I've obviously been doing the live streams of the video games. So if at all you seem interested in watching me play video games, or maybe you just want some other content to listen to me talk, since sometimes I don't always put these awesome vlogs up as frequently as probably people would enjoy. So it's still a great way of hearing me talk, hear about the things I talk about, getting another form of content of me in there, if that's your fancy. If not, then that's fine. You can keep up with the very random vlogs that come out whenever I felt like it, pretty much, and you can expect them to come out a little bit more frequently, especially now that I am live streaming. I understand that a lot of people do prefer more of the face stuff than they do of the, gaming stuff, so I'll make sure that even though I might post like 5 or 6 gaming streams, I'll make sure that there's at least one, if not 2 videos slid in there of this beautiful face for all of you guys to enjoy. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and until then, take it easy. I love your faces. Have I told you you're beautiful today? If I haven't, then you're fucking beautiful. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.